Hello everybody and welcome to another video. I am pumped to film this video because today I'm going to show you a handful of my favorite summertime snacks, and I'm excited because I get to make a bunch of snacks and therefore I get to eat a bunch of snacks. I'm a massive snacker. I've had to really reel that in my adult life, and so today I will be showing you some of my favorite, mostly healthy, mostly easy summertime snacks, and I'm very excited. We will be spending all of today in my little itty bitty kitchen. I hope you enjoy some of these recipes, and let's do it. Alright, so the first snack that I will be showing you how to do today is one of my favorites. It's something that I've been doing for a long time. It is frozen yogurt drops. You can do this with any yogurt you like. Dairy yogurt, non-dairy yogurt, nut milk, whatever. So for this you will just need a pretty large baking sheet or something that you can stick in the freezer that has a large surface area, and some parchment or wax paper that you can lay in there just to keep them from sticking. I would recommend doing that rather than putting like an oil or something, because then you'll have oil or spray or whatever on the bottom of your yogurt drop and ew. You'll also want, I use a piping bag for this, one that's way too massive. I use this is my yogurt drop piping bag. I wash it and reuse it because I don't like single-use plastics. You can also do this with just a regular Ziplock bag if you want and cut the corner off of it. That's what I used to do, but I don't own Ziplock bags anymore. And then obviously your yogurt, and then you want a cup. This, I'll show you what to do with this. It's not super necessary, it just will make your life easier. So that is what you need. First things first, I will take my piping bag, and I have my cup here. The cup is just to stand up the piping bag. I like to fold down the tip so that when I put the yogurt in it, it doesn't start leaking out the bottom. So I will fold down the tip and then just stick it in the cup and then fold over the edges. I will take my yogurt and just dump your yogurt into the piping bag or Ziploc bag or whatever. If you're using a Ziploc bag, you can always just not cut the corner off, and then you don't need to use a cup. I have all of my yogurt in my piping bag. I'm going to kind of just squeeze it down towards the tip and then twist it so that it keeps air out. And then you'll just start piping a bunch of little dots, whatever kind of size you want, onto your parchment. Squeezing from the top of the bag. Sometimes these come out prettier than others, depends on how patient I'm feeling. One of the reasons that I like doing this is because most of the yogurts that I like has a ton of sugar. Like one of these So Delicious yogurts has 16 grams of sugar. So sitting and eating that in one sitting is just kind of a lot of sugar for a snack. And I find that with these yogurt drops, I can eat a handful of them and be pretty satisfied. So then it lasts me all week. So then instead of eating a whole yogurt in one sitting, I'm making it last. I remember when I was a kid, my parents used to get me Go-Gurts, and I know this was a super common thing, but I always really liked freezing them. I don't know if anybody else did that, but I would freeze the Go-Gurt and it was almost like a popsicle then, and this is kind of my adult version of that. Alright, moving on to the lime. I just rinsed out my bag and reset. So here's my key lime version, same thing, just kind of push it down and then twist. Doing this always reminds me of those candies that I feel nobody actually ever buys, those strips of paper with a bunch of colored candy dots, pretty much just hardened sugar. So now I have all my cute little yogurt dots, some with fruit in them. I didn't really think that through. We are just going to take that, make sure you have a space, and throw it in the freezer for probably about an hour to 2 hours. And about 2 hours, and my yogurt drops are finally frozen. To store them, I like to stick a glass container in the freezer for a little bit just to get it cold. These melt crazy fast, and they will keep in the freezer like this for a really long time and be perfectly fine. They're already starting to melt, so you really have to do this part fast. They're icy and they're cold and they're perfect for summer. All right, so this next recipe that I'm going to share with you is one of the most simple things you can do, and it's delicious, and it is popcorn. And I know what you're thinking, Megan, they make popcorn that comes in a little bag and you can just put it in the microwave and it's so much easier. But listen, do you know how much butter and salt and nastiness comes in those things? When you can buy a whole bag, this is like half used. This whole thing was like $2 for organic popcorn, and making it is so dang easy. And I'm gonna show you, and you're never gonna wanna buy the packaged popcorn again. So, first thing I'm gonna do is I have my pan, or I guess it's my pot here. You want a pretty big one because, as everybody knows, popcorn as it pops takes up kind of a lot of room. So I'm gonna turn this burner onto, you should do medium heat, but my stove runs super hot, so I'm gonna go like slightly under medium heat. And then I'm going to heat up 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I have my cute little half cup of popcorn kernels here. All right, I can tell with my hand that there's some heat going on in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour in my half a cup of popcorn kernels and just kind of shake it around a little bit just to get all of the kernels coated in oil. And then I'm gonna throw on my lid, and then none of them will throw themselves at me. They're popping. It probably took about 2 or 3 minutes for them to start popping. So if it's not working, don't jack up your heat, just be patient, because if you have your heat too high, they'll pop faster, but the ones that pop first will burn, and no one wants burnt popcorn. Popcorn's one of the most satisfying things for me to make. I feel like a personal sense of accomplishment when it actually works. I don't know. That's just me with cooking though. The way you know it's done is kind of the same as microwave popcorn, where if you like aren't hearing much popping going on anymore, you should probably just pull it. I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna let it sit like off the heat for a second, because that'll get the last couple kernels to pop without burning the ones that are already popped. All right, popping has ceased. So I'm gonna just pour it into my bowl. I still have yet to master the art of like getting every single kernel to pop. That's my ultimate goal with the popcorn. So, as far as seasoning goes, one of the best things about popcorn, especially homemade popcorn, is you can do whatever the heck you want with it. The sky is the limit. My favorite thing to do is salt. First of all, it needs salt. Even if you're going for a sweet aspect, I feel like it needs a little bit of salt. And then I also like to add nutritional yeast. If you've never had it before, it tastes like a little bit cheesy. It also is really, really high in B vitamins. And since I don't eat red meat, this is a really good way for me to kind of supplement my B vitamins without an actual supplement. I recommend that you try it. If you've never tried nutritional yeast, popcorn's a really good first little baby's introduction to nutritional yeast. I'm also gonna add a little bit of garlic powder just for some zhuzh, and a little bit of cayenne, like a little bit of cayenne. I'm still scarred from when I was sick. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out my last video. I love popcorn though. When I was in elementary school, I used to pop a microwave bag of popcorn in the morning before school. And then I would put it in a gallon bag, like a Ziplock bag. And then I would take it to school, and then during class, because I was always ravenously hungry in elementary school, I would sit there in class and I would eat the whole bag of popcorn, and then I would proceed to rip apart the physical bag and lick off all of the salt and butter, which in hindsight is freaking nasty, man. Did anybody else do that? Because I know other kids in my class did it. That's where I got the idea. And of course it was delicious, but like, dear God, where were my parents? And where was the teacher? Like, who was just letting me sit there and do that? If current me could go back to past me, I would yank that bag right out of my hands and put this bowl in front of me instead. All right, so that's a good little bit of mixing. Let's give, ooh, it's hot. Let's give it a try. Yep. It's quick, you can take it with you somewhere, you can leave it in your car. It's perfect for like movie nights with the fam or just like nights outside by the fire. You can't go wrong with popcorn. And really you can make this all year round because, you know, there's no wrong time for popcorn. This is my lunch now. Alright, moving on. Okie doke. So this next recipe is one of my absolute favorites. I actually got the recipe in a culinary class that I took in college, and I've been using the same recipe ever since. I think it's awesome. It is granola, and as you can see, it does require quite a bit of ingredients, but it's actually not that hard, and if you don't have any of the things in the recipe, it's so easy to substitute. Granola is one of those things, like several of my snacks today, where you can like make it whatever you want. You can add nuts or fruit or spices and just get crazy with it, and if you don't have something in a recipe, it doesn't actually really matter. So first of all, this is an oat-based granola, which I personally like the best. I'll get rid of the ingredients as I use them so that I actually have room to work. I find it funny that I do so many cooking tutorial type things on this channel because I really truly don't have the kitchen for it. My kitchen is microscopic, but you know, I make it work. We'll call that half a cup. Shredded coconut. Yeah. So I'm also, this is what the recipe calls for, but again, you can do whatever you want. I'm doing pecans. I'm also gonna add some almonds. It says sliced almonds, but I have diced almonds and it doesn't actually matter. Sunflower seeds. And then I'm gonna mix up that. That's pretty much most of my dry ingredients. And then in a separate bowl, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. I think this recipe likes vegetable oil because it has a higher smoke point. Half a cup of maple syrup. Do half a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Mixy mixy. And then I'm gonna take my wet ingredients. Kind of like baking, this granola recipe. Take my wet ingredients, add it to the dry. Granola is the best because like you can take it with you hiking, or you can take it with you like to work even. You can just like, I mean, it's not gonna go bad if it gets hot. You can make a ton of it at a time, and I feel like the thing with granola is like, it's like really expensive to get good quality granola in a store. And when you do buy it, you get like this much of it. Like you just get a little bag, and I feel like it's so much more cost effective just to make it yourself. So I am just going to pour this out on my baking sheet. I'm just gonna spread this out and try to get like a nice even coating on my pan. My oven is preheated to 250 degrees. I'm going to put it in the oven for about an hour, and I'm going to stir it every 15 minutes. Just give it a little stir and then rotate the pan, and that just makes sure that the whole thing gets cooked really evenly and you have nice golden delicious granola. So I just took my granola out of the oven and it's looking nice and golden. It's also not still sticky. Like when I mix it, it's very dry, and that's pretty much what you're looking for, is for it to be golden and not sticky. If it's still kind of feels like it does when you stir it in the bowl before you bake it, it just needs a little bit more time. You want it to be nice and dry and not still wet and clumping together. Now that this is out of the oven, I'm going to add my dried fruit. So I'm just gonna eyeball this. I have dried cherries. I think they add a nice little tartness, and I like them. All right. So this next snack features a produce item that is in season in the summer, and that is kale. I love kale. I think it's great. However, I have a hard time using a whole bunch of it sometimes, and so this is what I like to do to use up my kale and also to make a delicious snack. So if you couldn't have already guessed, we are making kale chips, and what you need for this is a baking sheet, some kale, obviously, some salt and some olive oil, and then whatever additional seasonings you want. Today I'm using garlic powder because I like it. This is a super simple recipe. I feel like kale chips is kind of like the popcorn, where it's a really easy thing to do, but for whatever reason it is daunting to people. So I'm gonna preheat my oven first of all. Just realized that I need to do that to 300 degrees. I have here just some regular green kale. You can use whatever kind of kale for this. You can do red kale or lacinato, or those are the only ones I'm aware of, but whatever you want. You really want them to be like as dry as possible because otherwise they could not get crispy in the oven, and then you just have like baked limp kale, and that, I don't know, that doesn't sound amazing to me. So kale chips are another one of those things where you can kind of flavor it to an extent however you would like. Obviously maybe not like any sweet applications, but you can make it spicy, you could make it salty, you could do like Cajun or Italian. There's like a lot of different directions you could take it. And that's one of my favorite things about cooking, is because you can take one basic recipe and turn it into so many different things. Come closer. So I'm just gonna take the kale. You don't want the stems in it, they're really tough, so pretty much you're just gonna rip the kale off of the stems. From there you have like, you know, a large bit of kale. You just kind of want to break it up. Doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you don't want any ginormous pieces and then super itty bitty pieces, but they don't have to be exact, and they will shrink up a bit when they cook. So, but yeah, if your kale is in the fridge for too long and it's gone a bit wilted, you can revive it by making kale chips, and that's one way to keep it from going to waste, which is awesome because food waste is a huge issue. There we go. So I have my sheet of kale. I am just going to now drizzle it with some olive oil. Not a ton. You don't want them to be crazy oily, but you do, that's what's going to help them crisp up. And then I'm just going to use my hands to kind of like make sure all of it is coated in oil. I'm sure there's other ways to do this and not get oil all over your hands, but I think this is easiest and I don't care. Now that we're all evenly oiled, I'm going to just try to evenly disperse all of this on my pan. So now I'm just going to give it a bit of seasoning. I'm just going to give it, you don't want to do too much salt because they can come out super salty, but you also want them to have flavor. And then I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder because I think it makes them taste really good. I will say that if you are not a person who likes kale, you will probably not like this, but I do urge you to try it. I think they're really good. I would say try it first before you say you don't like it, because if you do like it, this is such an awesome alternative to regular potato or tortilla chips, and it is so much better for you, and it is truly really easy. I'm just gonna throw these in the oven. I'm gonna set my chicken for 10 minutes. At 10 minutes, I am just going to stir it around a bit. It actually takes like 20 to 30 minutes to cook, but that just makes it so that it's evenly crispy. So my kale chips were in the oven for 20 minutes and they are done. So let me show you. They look like this. You can tell they shrank a lot. You hear that sound though? That's how you know they're done. Like, that's the sound a chip should make. I think that they taste a little bit like pumpkin seed. You know, in Halloween, where you'd make jack-o'-lanterns and then you'd roast the pumpkin seeds, or at least I did. It has that same flavor, I think. It's something that's crunchy and salty, and if that's what you're craving, better choice, 100%. Alright, so this last snack that I'm gonna do today is, I'm gonna be honest with you, something that I've never done before. But when I was looking on the internet for snackspiration, I saw these and I was like, yeah, that's happening. So I'm going to attempt to make some strawberry cheesecake bites. I know, right? Does that not sound incredible? And they seem really easy, so we're gonna try it out. I'm adjusting the recipe a little bit to healthify it a skosh, but the first thing that I need to do is hollow out my strawberries. Also, fun fact, for any strawberries that you don't use, or just when you buy strawberries, they keep longer if you keep them in a glass jar or glass container. So my strawberries are all hollowed out. I'm only doing this with a handful of strawberries because it's just me and I don't want any of them to go to waste. So the original recipe calls for cream cheese, which is probably, it's the unhealthy aspect of it. And you could probably do this with Greek yogurt, but as I've said in the past, I don't like Greek yogurt that much. And then it called for powdered sugar, but I'm gonna go for some honey. This is 2 ounces of cream cheese, and I'm just gonna kind of like give it a good bit of honey because I want this to be pretty sweet. And then it called for like a little bit of vanilla extract. which I think sounds lovely. This cream cheese was sitting out for a bit, so it's really soft, so it should be easy to kind of mix together. Alright, I got this all nice mixed up. It's almost like whipped now, which is quite delicious looking. Probably the best way to do this would be to put this into like a piping bag or a Ziploc bag and do it the same way that we did like the yogurt drops and fill them up, but honestly, I'm feeling a little bit lazy and I don't feel like washing another piping bag, so I'm just gonna take my spoon and kind of just like shove some in there and try to make it look pretty with my spoon. And there you go. Cutie little cheesecake bite. Y'all. Yeah, this is a must try. Oh, that's so good. And it's so like light. And it's not terrible for you. It's just the cream cheese that's not great. Oh my god, that was incredible. Okay. So there you have it. Here are 5 super easy for the most part, healthy for the most part, summer snacks that are staples in my home that I love to make and that I hope you will also enjoy making. I had a really hard time narrowing it down to this set of snacks when I was planning for this video, and I have tons more ideas, so if you enjoyed this, please let me know and maybe a part 2 will be in order. Otherwise, I hope you guys try these out. If you do, let me know. I love to know how things turn out and if you have any suggestions. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you are enjoying your summer and we will see you next time.